Lil Jeff's killer might be the new celebrity in town. Not only has his new prison footage gone viral, dudes are now texting Trump to grant him a pardon. But there's a twist in this story because reports show that the alleged killer who is behind bars might not even be the real killer. What's even crazy is that Lil Jeff's real killer might have already been murked by the bloodhounds in retaliation. And if rumor on the street is anything to go by, Lil Jeff's homies might have even shot up his killer's funeral and murked his sister. It's getting wild out here. So let me get you up to speed. Leaked video goes viral trap. City Rob's story isn't just another headline. It has become an internet phenomenon when news spread that he had been arrested. A section of the internet was up in arms, especially on Reddit, where he had become a cult hero. His name dominated discussions and debates raged over whether he was a necessary force in the community or just another statistic in a broken system. Because his story is wild, he has become so popular that he has his own subreddit called Trap City Unk Gang, where there's more than 2,500 members calling themselves nephews.
I ain't gonna lie, Reddit be tweaking. They got his own, look, they got a group called Trap City Unk Gang.
Right.
That's the group,
Right.
Unk Gang, and his picture's on there, and then they got, look, it say 1,000, the members in there, it say 1,738 nephews.
Guys even hopped on Instagram trying to message Trump and get him to parent traps. City Rob, one nephew, wrote, "Look here, Donald, you need to go ahead and free Unk out that jam. Give bro a pardon or something. The porch is vulnerable with." No nigger to defend it, Trap City got no defense player anymore. Free Unk fam, while another one posted, "Dear Mr. President Trump in here to inquire about UNC, also known as Rob. There's a lot of nephews who care about and miss our beloved Unk, and we would really appreciate if you considered pardoning him well." There's now an update on Reddit's favorite uncle, a photo of Trap City. Rob had leaked onto Reddit showing him in good shape and good spirits. It was a relief to his growing fan base, who had been anxiously waiting for news to them. He wasn't just another person caught up in the system. He was someone who had done what many believed was inevitable trap. City Rob has become an internet sensation over the past year. He had killed one of the most heartless gangsters in Chicago, Lil Jeff, a man who would kill people and brag about it on Instagram for likes. His haters and people who despise gun violence were all too pleased when Lil Jeff was killed, and it was caught on camera. On June 8, 2024, popular journalist Kyle Mazza broke the sad news on his X account saying unidentified male victim shot and killed in Chicago, Illinois. On June 8, 2024, Hot News reports that the victim killed is Chicago rapper Bloodhound Lil Jeff. His post detailed the harrowing incident, stating at approximately 5:14 p.m. Saturday afternoon on the 600 block of S. Rhodes Avenue, a male victim, John Doe, was near the sidewalk when he was struck in the chest by gunfire. The report further explained what followed. The victim was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. There are no suspects in custody. A large number of shell casings were located at the crime scene. It didn't take long for CCTV footage of Lil Jeff's death to make its way onto the internet. Once it did, it spread like wildfire. The raw, unfiltered chaos of that day played out on screens across social media, with every second feeling surreal, especially to people who haven't experienced the harsh reality of gang wars. The footage came from a security camera on the 600 block of S. Rhodes Avenue, capturing a group of people near a house in a few paired cars. Among them were Lil Jeff's crew. The one sitting in a black car, a figure dressed in all black, another in red, who was later identified as Q50, and one wearing a white hoodie. Meanwhile, another man wearing yellow shorts was seen trying to get into a car when Lil Jeff suddenly spotted him in the footage. The door of the black car swings open. Lil Jeff steps out. No hesitation the second he locks eyes on the man in yellow shorts. He takes off running. The chase begins, but then Lil Jeff's figure vanishes from the camera's view, disappearing behind a large pillar near the house while he's in pursuit. His homies don't follow. Instead, they turn their attention to a gray car parked nearby, and they start letting off shots at its occupants. While all this is happening, Jeff manages to hit his target, the man in yellow shorts, striking him once in the chest. It should have been an easy finish, but before he can do anything more, two figures suddenly emerge from a nearby alley and they're armed. They don't hesitate. They open fire immediately. Lil Jeff never stood a chance. The force of the bullet sent him flying back onto the pavement landing. At the foot of the porch, he was down, but his shooters weren't done. Reports say they emptied an entire magazine into him at point-blank range, ensuring there was no coming back from this. Reports show that he was shot 19 times, and a paperwork say he was hit 19 times in the chest area. He was shot 19 times. 19 times his homies, including Q50, tried to fire back, but it was already over. They knew there was no saving him. Without a second thought, they bailed, hopping back into the car and speeding off, leaving Lil Jeff bleeding out in the street. The scene was brutal, and as the video played out, it became clear how quickly everything had escalated. Scanner reports later confirmed that a shooting victim hit 15 times had been transported to the hospital by his own crew. CCTV footage actually captured the moment Lil Jeff's friends tried to carry him from the porch, where he had been gunned down, desperately trying to save him. But despite their efforts, by the time they reached the hospital, it was too late. Lil Jeff was pronounced dead on arrival. Meanwhile, the man in yellow shorts, who had also been shot, made it to the hospital with his own people. He had taken a bullet to the chest, but unlike Lil Jeff, he survived by the time authorities arrived. The street was littered with evidence. 58 shell casings were scattered across the pavement. The cops knew without a shadow of a doubt that the shootout had been intense. And just like that, it was over. The end of Lil Jeff, the man who had terrorized his ops and mocked their deaths on social media. And Trap City, Rob had emerged as the unlikely hero. However, what's on Reddit might be all cap, because just a few months later, one of Trap City Rob's affiliates would be credited with the hit, but not before he was also shot and killed by Lil Jeff's affiliates. Enter Trap City Carter on October 20th, 2024. News outlets reported that a man had tragically lost his life in Chicago. The previous night had seen shots being left off and in the city's Oakland neighborhood. By the time it was all over, a man lay bleeding on the pavement, his life slipping away with every passing second. It happened around 8:41 p.m. on South Ellis Avenue, a block that, like so many others in the city, had seen its fair share of violence. Witnesses told police that two men had approached their target, guns drawn, and fired without hesitation. The 32-year-old victim never had a chance. Within moments, the shooters had jumped into a white vehicle and disappeared into the night. Paramedics arrived quickly, rushing the victim to the University of Chicago Medical Center. But the damage was done. The victims had sustained multiple gunshot wounds to the chest and had lost too much blood despite the best efforts of the doctors. He was pronounced dead shortly after arriving to the world. He was just another name in a tragic headline. Chevelle Carter, as the medical examiner later confirmed, another statistic in Chicago's ongoing struggle with gun violence, but in the streets he was known by a different name, Trap City Carter, but on Reddit forums, he is also known as Vel or Stalk in a bag. Carter, his ops couldn't hide their excitement over his death. They on social media were just like Lil Jeff, posted cryptic messages that hinted at Carter's murder being get back for Lil Jeff's death. They wanted everyone to know that they had just murked one of their biggest ops, and the internet couldn't help but notice. Bro be celebrating like a sports team won the championship when they get back for their dead homies.
That's that get back for my man.
That's that get back for my man. Get back for my man.
One comment went under the radar. It was a threat, but no one paid any attention to it because it was too audacious of a threat. Just wait till the funeral, the comment read. It was a clear threat. Trap City Carter's ops were going to pull up at the funeral feral, but no one took the threat seriously. Or maybe no one really saw it. Because on the day Trap City Carter was laid to rest, tragedy struck on November 2nd. What was supposed to be Trap City Carter's sending off turned into yet another tragic incident in Chicago's gun violence epidemic. A woman was shot and killed while taking part in a funeral procession for her brother in South suburban Dixmoor. She had come to say her final goodbyes, to grieve with family, to honor the life of someone she had loved. Instead, she lost her own at exactly 12:01 p.m. Dixmoor police were called to the scene at 147th Street and Sealy Avenue, where a white Jaguar SUV had crashed into a house. But the real tragedy wasn't the crash itself. It was what officers found inside the vehicle. Behind the wheel was a 34-year-old woman. Her body slumped, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. She had been driving in the funeral procession, making her way from St. Mark's Church in Harvey. When the shots rang out, the same streets that had carried her brother's final journey had now become the site of her own. Paramedics rushed her to UChicago Medicine, Angles Memorial Hospital in Harvey, fighting to keep her alive, but the damage was too severe. She was pronounced dead soon after arriving. Later, authorities identified her as Roman Turner of Cowlett Park, Trap City, Carter's sister. Another name added to the ever-growing list of lives stolen too soon, a sister who had just buried her brother, now gone herself, leaving behind grieving loved ones who had to endure the unbearable pain of losing not one but two family members in a matter of days. But this isn't the first time gang violence has been seen at a gangster's funeral, because back in 2018, when one of Chicago's most feared shooters almost lost his life while attending a friend's funeral, it was supposed to be a final goodbye, a moment of mourning for rapper Vonry Chris, better known as Dus Man, who had been another casualty in the Chicago gang war. But in the streets, even funerals weren't off limits. Ducey had been gunned down by an op, and his death had heightened tensions between the Black disciples and
We gon' surprise. You talking about tonight. We gon' surprise, bro.
It was a warning one that would come to life just days later. On the afternoon of October 17th, friends, family, and fellow gang members gathered to lay Ducey to rest. The funeral was packed just as expected, and Oblak members saw it as the perfect opportunity to strike as mourners were leaving the church. The chaos started. A car suddenly pulled up. Doors swung open and masked gunmen jumped out without hesitation. They started letting off shots towards the mourners' direction. Bullets flew in every direction. Panic set in. Some Murs ran for cover, while others, including gang members, pulled out their own guns and fired back. In the middle of the chaos, Boy was hit. A bullet struck him in the head, and he dropped to the ground. The shooters wasted no time. They jumped back into their car and sped off, leaving behind a scene of absolute carnage. In total, 6 people were shot, including Wookie. The gunfire left the funeral in ruins, with shattered glass and bloodstains marking what was supposed to be a moment of remembrance. But in a shocking twist, everyone survived. Even Wosi, despite taking a bullet to the head, managed to pull through. Footage of Y being attended to by paramedics on the scene quickly went viral. Sadly, the drill rapper has never been the same again after this incident. But WKI was a gang member who had also killed people, so many figured that he had it coming. Although Van often trolled him, saying that he was lying about killing people.
And they be giving all the lame niggas all the bodies and like, Wooski, he ain't like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there like that. He ain't killed nobody. If he did, it was a little boy from somewhere else, and he bogus for doing that.
V was obviously trolling, and Y was neck deep in the Chicago gang war. Well, you might think that Trap City Carter was innocent in the war. I mean, no one outside Chicago had really heard of him. However, his connection to the gang violence in Chicago will shock you, according to this Reddit post. The beef between Trap City and Bloodhound started when Lil Jeff stole Trap City Carter's chain. This is accurate, as Trap City Rob narrated how the war began and revealed that Lil Jeff used to be cool with traps.
His dad from down here? Big Jeff from that? Big Jeff?
Yeah. Anybody you got
so his daddy is from down here?
Yeah, fuck used to hang with them. They know what they did.
Oh, okay.
They know what they did.
So, okay, the Bloodhounds, y'all was cool.
Everybody that got a that was my chain, bro. We tried like he took it. He stole my own chain.
Who was that South Jazz?
Nah, brother. One of the other guys.
Although Trap City Carter was never charged with Lil Jeff's killing, we could assume that the Bloodhounds were happy he was gone, since he was kind of the reason the war started in the first place. As for Trap City, Rob, it seems more likely that he was framed by the internet ESP, especially when you realize that he had been arrested for Jeff's death, but later the charges were dropped. Trap City Rob. Frame. Rob was picked up by the cops, according to Trench's News. He was arrested because shooting Lil Jeff 19 times while he was already on the ground wasn't considered self-defense. Instead, it could be termed as an overkill. However,
the paperwork can say he was hit 19 times in the chest area.
He was shot 19
times. And that's why I think they grabbed Rob for the murder, because it's overkill. It ain't self-defense 19 times.
reports surfaced on Reddit showing that Trap City Rob had his charges downgraded from first-degree murder to a gun charge. Another Reddit post revealed that Trap City Rob was initially arrested for the Lil Jeff murder because a witness placed him at the scene when Lil Jeff died. However, the Chicago Police Department investigated and couldn't prove that he was the actual shooter, so they just dropped his murder charge and gave him a gun charge. What's worrying is that he hasn't come out to outright deny his involvement in Lil Jeff's death. If he's not careful, he could end up in jail for a crime he didn't commit. And one gangster comes to mind, one who was a fierce shooter in the streets, but ended up in jail for a long time for a murder he alleges he didn't commit. This is none other than D. Rose. The heartbreaking story goes that on the 28th of April 2014, D. Rose was arrested for the murder of Vinzel Richardson. The arrest was the beginning of a new wave of controversy that would allegedly see D. Rose locked away for decades. You see, on the 12th of February 2014, 14-year-old Vinzel Richardson, alias Big, had just left a convenience store and was walking home in the streets of West Woodall, Chicago, accompanied by two other teens. The time was around 8:20 p.m. when they reached the 600 block of South Vernon Avenue. Suddenly, a white van pulled up beside them, and shooters started letting off shots, hitting Vinzel in the head. Chicago police arrived at the scene, launching an investigation into the murder they quickly identified the shooting as possibly gang-related, given the ongoing conflicts between the gangster disciples and black disciples in the area. It turns out that the white van that had pulled up beside them was later found to belong to D. Rose, a known member of the 600 gang. This was crucial to his arrest, although word on the street is that he was mistaken for another shooter who was also in the white van. Lil Loss, a Cook County jury would convict D. Rose of first-degree murder. The prosecution presented a compelling case built on eyewitness testimonies and forensic evidence. Witnesses claimed they saw D. Rose and the white minivan used in the shooting, and ballistics matched the bullets to a gun linked to him. The white minivan identified by multiple witnesses became a crucial piece of evidence. A cop even testified that at 9:30 p.m. on February 11, 2014, the day before the shooting, he and his partner were on a routine patrol in an unmarked squad vehicle when they noticed a white Dodge Caravan double-parked on South Honore Street near 66th Street, which is a residential area in Chicago. The van was parked in a way
the homeless man went viral. There have been ruthless killers in the streets of Chicago, but none can match this insane moment. The video started off with Jeff trying to holler at the homeless dude. The dude thought Lil Jeff was going to show him some love, maybe even give him some loose change or something. However, Jeff pulled out his blick and started threatening the guy unprovoked.
I caught me some action. Yeah, what up, Joe? How you coming? You ever seen one of these? You think you can run from this? Get your back. You can, hey, try to run. See how fat? I'll get out this car right now and you up.
However, Jeff changed his tone and told the homeless guy that he was just kidding.
Nah, I'm just playing.